Hello, the Vern here. As I was working on editing the latest episode of Donnie's Choice on Alien Romulus, I get the news that filmmaker David Lynch has passed away. And this hit me very hard because David Lynch is definitely one of those filmmakers that have influenced other movies and the movies that I review on this here podcast. And but I knew I should release something. I wasn't planning on releasing any episodes, but I feel obliged to do some sort of tribute to the man because he has just been so much, and I'm sure all of us has influenced us in some way or another, especially if you're some sort of misfit outcast like me. His films sort of speak to you in ways, and he will be sorely missed. And so for this episode, I wanted to repost my audio review on one of my favorite movies of his. Of course, I believe his best movie is Mulholland Drive, but my favorite of his is Wild at Heart. So I want to play for you my review about Wild at Heart. And then after that, I found a nice conversation that myself and podcaster Ryan Luis Rodriguez of Reels of Justice and One Track Mind had on David Lynch for our podcast, Tales from the Double R, that was part of Rabbit Hole Podcast, years back or so. We actually recorded a nice little introduction about David Lynch that I want to play for you as well. And it's a really great tribute to a man who will be sorely missed. And I fully believe that David Lynch will be forever in our dreams. So here you go. David Lynch, love you all very much. And of course, if you are a Patreon member, there is a new episode up on patreon.com/cinemarecallpod. And yay, love you all. Take care. Bye.
Sweetheart, we got some dancing to do.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this bonus episode of the Cinema Recall Podcast, exclusively for Patreon subscribers. I'm your host, The Vern. We are continuing our look at David Lynch features. So, what happens if you cross Terrence Malick's Badlands with The Wizard of Oz and a lot of steamy sets? Well, you get the road picture Wild at Heart, directed by David Lynch, written by Lynch and I believe Barry Gifford, based on his novel series, which I had no idea that this was based on a novel, much less a series. It stars Nicolas Cage, Laura Dern, William Dafoe, Crispin Glover, Diane Ladd, Harry Dean Stanton, a whole bunch of actors who play really strange characters. If you do not know Wild at Heart, it is essentially about a couple, Sailor and Lula. Sailor is played by Nicolas Cage, Lula is played by Laura Dern, and they are a couple who are out on the run. Nicolas Cage just broke parole, and both him and Lula go on a cross-country trip. Now, Lula's mother, played by Diane Ladd, does not like Sailor at all, and she hires a hitman, played by J.E. Freeman, to kill him. She actually hires a detective, played by Harry Dean Stanton, to find them and bring them in and arrest Sailor. But then she also, hires this hitman too, and this hitman, Jay Freeman, wants to kill the Harry Dean Stanton character of the cop detective. Yeah, so it's a big, wild road picture. Believe that this one came after, yeah, right, pretty much around, he was shooting this movie around the same time that Twin Peaks was happening. Because I know there's a story how David Lynch sort of left the series of Twin Peaks and had other people take over. Yeah, let's do this right now, folks. I need to take a quick break. We're going to play the trailer of this movie, and then I'll be back more with my thoughts, all right?
We got some dancing to do.
From David Lynch, the director of Twin Peaks, comes this summer's wildest love story. Newsweek calls it spectacular and funny.
You got me hotter than Georgia asphalt.
USA Today says it's a must-see.
You really are dangerously cute, baby.
And the Chicago Tribune calls it stunning.
Rockin' good news.
David Lynch's Wild at Heart. Rated R. Starts Friday, August 17th at theaters nationwide.
Yeah, so I think Wild at Heart is one of David Lynch's other most accessible films next to, like, Blue Velvet, Dune, and even like the first season of Twin Peaks, because Wild at Heart is essentially about two characters who are in love. They are on the run from cops as well as from gangsters. I think Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage have great screen chemistry with each other. They know their characters very well. I think the other side supporting actors do a wonderful job in their roles. I love Diane Ladd as like the jealous mother, and I love William Dafoe as this guy who has like his teeth missing, and he's got this really creepy attitude. There's like one very creepy scene with him and Laura Dern that starts out very funny but then becomes very sinister. I love the sequence when both Sailor and Lula go to like this metal concert, and then in the middle of it, Nicolas Cage belts out into a Elvis Presley cover, and the metal band is playing alongside him.
You gonna provide me with an opportunity to prove my love to my girl, or are you gonna save yourself some trouble? Step up like a gentleman and apologize to her.
Don't fuck with me, man. Look like a clown in that stupid jacket.
This is a snakeskin jacket. And for me, it's a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
Asshole.
Come here.
Honey.
Ow! I'm sorry to do this to you here in front of a crowd and all, but I want you to get up and apologize to my girl.
I'm sorry.
My hell. You just bumped up against the wrong girl is all.
That's good. Now go get yourself a beer. You fellas have a lot of the same power E had. Y'all know this one? Treat me like a fool, treat me mean and cruel, but love me, break my faithful heart, tear it all apart, but love me.
Yeah, it's a very surreal movie. There's a lot of references to The Wizard of Oz, like characters reference characters and scenes from Wizard of Oz and quotes. There's even an appearance from Gilda the Good Witch in it. Yeah, it's a very surreal, dreamlike movie. I love the fact that it can be very funny at moments and then very creepy and disturbing at other moments, and then other moments are just very sweet and heartwarmingly romantic. Yeah, so out of like 5 stars, I would give Wild at Heart a simple 4. Yeah, if you love David Lynch, you're gonna like absolutely love this movie. And yeah, so this right now, so that's my little take on Wild at Heart. As always, please check out our sort of like map of Mulholland Drive series that we have going on our main channel. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at cinema_recall, and then check out our Facebook group, Crack Cinema Recall's Awesome Cinematic Club with 8K. Thank you so much for following us, and we will be back with more episodes soon. Bye. So I thought we'd just talk really just for about 5 minutes or so on the career of David Lynch. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
So tell me, Agent Ryan, just tell me briefly your familiarity with David Lynch.
Well, it all starts with Blue Velvet.
It did start Blue Velvet. Now,
Yeah.
You were how old when you saw that?
I was in high school, so I had to be 15, 16, around there.
And what brought you to see Blue Velvet?
Well, my friends were a fan of it.
Okay.
So they directed it towards me, and I watched it, and I didn't like it.
Fair enough.
I remember that pointedly. I remember not greatly disliking it, but disliking it for sure. And then I revisited it in college, a little actually maybe towards the end of my college, when I started getting into drugs.
Sure.
And so all of a sudden, I understood this movie, and I realized how profound it was. It was weed that opened my brain up and poked into the little pink spaces and said, "No, you love this movie."
See, for me, it had to have been not Blue Velvet, Dune.
Okay, that's fair.
Dune is probably the first David Lynch movie I saw without realizing that it's David Lynch. Because
I think that most people who saw that movie probably saw it the same, not knowing who the hell this guy was, and just being kind of like, "Oh, so that was something."
Yeah.
Dune, huh? Wow.
I remember kind of liking it, but liking it just mainly for the soundtrack from Toto.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember the sounds from that being
Great soundtrack.
I remember the sounds from that being very cool. And then I think I saw Wild at Heart next, just because I remember friends renting this movie and just saying this is just a really weird, strange road movie, but it has lots of sets in it. And I was like, sure.
Both of those things are true.
As a teenager, that you got right there, nudity and craziness. Yep, you had me right there. So of course I watched a lot of that. And then I saw Blue Velvet a little bit later on. I know I caught clips of Fire Walk With Me because I remember the Twin Peaks show much, but I don't think I really got into cinema until after high school, right around high school is when I started getting into cinema. And I know Blue Velvet was the first movie I remember watching and knowing that I knew about aspect ratios from that movie. Because I do remember someone had a copy of Blue Velvet on Laserdisc, and my folks had the VHS copy. And I just remember the difference in how it was framed. And how my copy, everything looked all zoomed in, but my friend's copy, everything was all wide and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, this is new, and that's my first time.
So you're a 235 guy living in a pan and scan world.
Yeah, very much so. Yes. So remember that, and then I think the movie that really hit it home for me was probably Lost Highway. That would be the next film I saw after Blue Velvet, and I didn't realize that this was a David Lynch movie until I saw the credits. My friends at the time really wanted to watch the movie because at the time, I have to preface this, at the time, we were big Marilyn Manson fans, and we heard that he was going to be in the movie, and my friends took word of this, like, "Oh, I want to go see this movie called Lost Highway. You want to go with me?" I said, "Sure." And she's like, "I have no idea what it's about. All I know is that Marilyn Manson has a cameo in it." I'm like, all right, cool. So see opening credits, and I see Bill Pullman. I'm like, Bill Pullman, Lone Star from Spaceballs, hell yeah. And then I saw Patricia Arquette. Oh, the blonde girl from True Romance. I remember her. She's sexy. She's cute. Okay, all right. I'll go along with this. Richard Pryor. What? Okay. All right, let's go on with this.
That one I still can't get over. I have no idea how Richard Pryor got in that movie, but God bless him.
I know, right? And then I saw the credits at the end. I said David Lynch. Like, oh, well, I've heard of this before. At least I've heard of Twin Peaks, and I've seen Blue Velvet, and I've seen Dune before. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll take a shot at this. And it was the most strangest theatrical experience I think me and my friends ever had, because we have not seen a movie like that before. I mean, come on now, we're watching American Pie and other sort of like raunchy teen comedies like Road Trip.
You're watching
and,
crap, basically.
Yeah, Road Trip and Euro Trip and whatnot. All types of trips we're watching that. Right?
We're saying the same thing here.
Yes,
I'm saying crap, you're saying crap. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, so that was a different type of experience per se. I shouldn't say American Pie, which I think came out in '97, but I know we were watching other sort of like whatever big hit movies were, like Armageddon, I think was a hit movie then, and I know we were watching other type of like mainstream blockbuster comedy fares, whatever was big at that time. We were watching that, but we did watch some Quentin Tarantino movies as well. But Lost Highway was just another wild trip as hell.
I wish I could have seen that in the theater. That would have been awesome.
It was very tired, and I got to see the 4K restoration in theaters back again too, and it was still
nice.
Still quite the experience though. It's funny too because I changed subjects here just briefly here. All right, we'll get going with this episode, but I recently saw Blade Runner, the 4K version, over at this theater. But the lighting was terrible. It was lit too darkly. It felt like I was not watching a good cut of that movie. And I love Blade Runner, and it was just a bad presentation of that movie. So, but at the same theater, the one for Lost Highway was amazing. The same theater also screened was it now Wild at Heart in 35mm, and that was brilliant. I don't know what it is, but their 35mm screenings are way better than the 4K screenings. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, it's weird.
Really weird. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for helping us out with this really short bonus episode for Tales from the Double R, talking really briefly about the films of David Lynch. We'll be back more. You can find more episodes of Patreon over at Rapid Hole Podcast Patreon page. Yes, thank you. All right, I'm going to end this call real quickly. Just see this recorded, and I'll call you right back, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, buddy.